A heartbreaking story of a 25-year-old young, educated, beautiful black woman has been circulating social media and has been on her hometown local news. 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson, who was enjoying life running her own business as a professional hairdresser, decided to take a trip with 4 of her friends to Cabo, Mexico. And what happened during that trip is the unimaginable. 5 people went on a trip, but only 4 people returned.
Fun long weekend for 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson and her group of friends who went to Cabo to celebrate one of their birthdays.
She told me they had a chef they was getting ready to eat. They was eating tacos, something, salad or something they was eating. And I said, well, okay, I love you, have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I never talked to my child again, and she never made it back home.
Robinson's mom, Salamandra, says within 24 hours of her daughter's arrival, she was dead. Figuring out how or why has only added to the family's nightmare. It started with a frantic call from Robinson's friends.
They said she wasn't feeling well. She had alcohol poisoning. They couldn't get her pulse. Each one of the people that was there with her was telling different stories.
It's when the family made calls to the FBI and Mexican authorities that they learned of another potential cause of death.
And the autopsy came back. They said it didn't have anything to do with alcohol. Said that she had a broken neck and her spine in the back was cracked. She had been beaten.
Yes, her mother had it right. She had been beaten. And not only was she beaten, but she was recorded by so-called friends being beaten by another so-called friend. All of this happened within 24 hours of her coming to Cabo. She hadn't even gotten a chance to enjoy her trip before this horrible attack happened.
The entire group came back from Mexico, leaving her daughter's body there. Nearly 2 weeks and $6,000 later, her body is back home. But answers have been hard to come by.
I know that's not going to bring my child back, but I want something done about it.
Queen City News has spoken with officials at the U.S. State Department in Mexico who refute the claim that Robinson was murdered, saying the police's initial indication is that there was no clear evidence of foul play. Here in Charlotte, her family refuses to believe their daughter's death was an accident, and they vow to find the truth of what happened that night in Cabo.
No one told the same story, so I never believed them anyway.
Queen City News obtained Robinson's death certificate, which lists a cause of death as severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, which is instability in the uppermost vertebrae. In the section where police could have noted any sign of intoxication, it says, person found unconscious on her living room.
And they didn't call us to the very last minute. And then on top of that, they said the maid found them.
The group stayed here at Villa Linda 32, a property listed on CaboVillas.com. A rep with the company says the group called the concierge for help Saturday afternoon. The concierge called a doctor who gave CPR. Robinson died at 3 p.m., an estimated 15 minutes after her injury.
So who was Shanquella? And did her friends lower her to Cabo with an effort to humiliate and beat her and then ultimately take her life? So what we do know is that there were 2 men and 3 women who took this trip. You can hear one of the men in the background on the video telling Shanquella to get up and fight. I'm thinking that this is a story of the ugly friend who couldn't get the man, and they're jealous of the more successful, more educated, more well-off friend. Because we all know that the socialization and the mindset is still that of the women should fight tooth and nail to gain the approval and the attention of these men. Now in the video, it was obvious that Shanquella did not want to fight, but the other girl was fighting tooth and nail. So I'm assuming she's the friend who didn't get that much attention and felt by humiliating the one friend that did get more attention that she would gain brownie points from these men that were along on the trip. Now remember, this is all allegedly. This is what I believe happened. With the unrelenting investigative work of Black Twitter, the information of the other individuals that went on the trip was devolved to the entire world. So one of them, out of, I believe, fear and embarrassment, decided to take to his live Instagram chat and give his interpretation of what really happened, or what he says really happened.
To social media, of course my story is going to be different because I got there a day late. I can only tell you what I know from 3:30 till Sunday when I left. That's all I can do. I really can't give nobody no other answer from Friday because they didn't tell me. I didn't go in there, sit down and make no alibi with nobody. I didn't know nothing. They didn't tell me nothing. Cross my heart and hope to die on this Bible right here. I don't know nothing. I didn't sit and make no alibi. I didn't even have time. I got there an hour later. The nurse came in the door. The nurse came in the door. Tried to help pull her, tried to put some salines in her, but her energy, she didn't have no electrolytes. Her oxygen was low, so she couldn't find them. Y'all don't understand what I went through. Listening to
None of the other people who were on this trip with Shanquella have come out to give a statement. I wouldn't expect them to. I would expect that they would be talking to lawyers right now. So if they did come out, their lawyers would speak for them. And my question is, if this beating didn't kill her, how did she end up with a broken neck and a fractured spine? Now, as you can see, Shanquella was somewhat known, having 20,000 followers alone on Instagram. From what her social media posts and comments state, she was a well-known hairdresser and hair braider in the Charlotte area. She was, again, only 24 years old. She was in college, she was childless, and she was trying to have fun and enjoy her life. One could only wonder, and by one I mean someone who actually thinks logically, who isn't caught up in drama and being petty and being toxic, could only wonder how a group of so-called friends goes on a trip to Cabo, Mexico, and ends up with one of them staying in Cabo, Mexico because they are deceased, while the others leave the body and go back home to America and come up with a story to tell this young girl's mother that she died of alcohol poisoning within 24 hours of arriving to Mexico. What a disgusting group of people. This story is literally breaking the hearts of people. It's all over social media, and Black Twitter is really going off with this story. Shanquella is getting a lot of support, but it's just sad that this support has to come due to such a tragic event. And we all know Black Twitter never fails. They have literally found out the first and last name, as well as the address of all of the people who went on this trip with Shanquella. I am not making any statements that I have examined Shanquella, nor that I know any further information in regards to this case. But I will say that it is very problematic that these people came back from Mexico without her, not because she extended her trip, but because she was in a body bag in Mexico while they ran back to America and told her mother what seems to be a concocted story. With friends like these, you definitely don't need enemies. So the young woman in the bottom in the middle is the one that Shanquella was being beaten by. I don't know, again, why this woman wanted to fight her. I can only assume it is over a man, but that's all allegedly. I just feel like it is so disgusting that this happened to this young woman. I'm so tired of Black women not being able to enjoy their lives without the wrath of pygmies or dust ashes. I hope that the truth is revealed and that they are able to bring justice to this young lady and her family. Rest in paradise, Shanquella Robinson.